So now we'll move into our next session, which is the LD4D Products Showcase. We will start with an introduction by Louise Donnison, who is the Senior Data Scientist at SEBI Livestock. It's over to you, Louise.
Thanks, Anna. It's estimated that about 1% of the world's data has been analysed, but we don't need all this data. We just need to get the right data to answer the right questions. So in this session today, we want to get your feedback on 4 LD4D products available on livestockdata.org. So we get the right data to answer the right questions. 3 of the products showcased today use a mixture of well-known data and not so well-known data. The first, the livestock populations dashboard, uses FAO data, well known by the community. The second, the livestock project portal, uses a large data set that tracks international aid. It's probably not so well known by the community, but it's a very rich source of livestock investment information. And then the third, the environment assessment tool for agro-ecosystems, uses a data set that is completely new and was made specifically for this dashboard. So today, we would really like to get your feedback to test if we are getting anywhere close to the perfect information, to the perfect decision. Over to you, Anna.
Thank you, Louise. So our first presentation is Gareth Salmon. He'll be showing the LD4D visualization on livestock populations.
Thanks, Anna. So I'm presenting this visualization as someone who has used it. The creator who put it together, Alec Mehta, is one of my colleagues. I think he's online as well. So if there's any comments or ideas, please add them into the chat. So this is all about livestock populations, and we know how important that is. I'm sure we all reference them daily or weekly in our discussions or in our decisions. A lot of the things we discuss all comes down to how many animals and where are they. Just by the traffic to this web page, we can see there's a high demand for this. So this is one of the flagship visualizations for livestockdata.org. So we want to make the best of it that we can and make sure that it is useful to those in the network. It visualizes FAO stat livestock populations data, which again, I'm sure a lot of you will have accessed. The aim of this is to add value to that. We create something which can be accessed very quickly. So rather than having to go into FAO stat and download the numbers and visualize them yourself, you can access it here. And you can choose how you want to see that data. So there's some screenshots there where you can see a global perspective as a bubble map or a color map, and that in those web pages there's also a time slider, so you can see how that has changed since the 1960s through to present day. And then the bottom two the bottom left one shows you a line chart for specific countries, so you could zoom in on perhaps Brazil and say, well, how's the cattle population changed over time? And as well as having the absolute numbers, the top line chart, we also added this annual change line chart. So it shows you where there's been big changes, big increases or big drops year by year. It also highlights the data source, the information behind the data source. So FAO stat label the data points as official data points or estimated data points. And that can tell you a bit more about maybe what is driving some of those big peaks and troughs. Then the last one is a bar chart race. So that's a bit of fun. You can choose the species that you want to look at, and you can set it off running, and you can see how populations have changed over time and which countries are in the top 10 for specific populations. So we want people to use these in narratives. We want them to use it in presentations. I've done that in the past, and you can download the visualization in different formats to use in your own work. We want you to try them out and give us feedback so we can keep developing them and keep them fit for purpose for for the people within the network and wider. So if you do have feedback, when you do have a chance to have a look at them, please do get in touch. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to invite Louise to demonstrate the LD4D Livestock Project Portal.
Thanks, Anna. The Livestock Project Portal answers the question, who's funding what where? With the dashboard, you can explore information on past and current livestock investments. We've created different views with different questions in mind. On the Publisher tab, you can find out who the main livestock funders are. On the country view, you can see where the most livestock projects have been implemented. And on either view, you can browse livestock investments by title or description, filter on particular fields, and there's a free text search that you can use. And so in the particular screenshot here, we searched for climate and found 68 activities tagged as climate. The dashboard is designed around particular users. Funders can identify funding gaps. Governments can identify who's working in their countries, and implementers can find partners and learn from past investments. The overarching aim of the dashboard is to support decision makers to maximise the efficiency of resources and efforts invested in livestock. The data is sourced from IATI, which is the International Aid Transparency Initiative, which is a great resource, and we've just updated it, and there were 170 new activities come in the last year. Like the populations dashboard, Alok developed this as many of the other products on our website, and he's actively engaging with IATI to see if we can input into some of the data decisions. One of the things where we could see a bit of improvement is around the tagging of investments, but this is an active area for us. But we'd really like your feedback on this dashboard and if you think you could use it. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you. Now Frances Ryan will show us the Environmental Assessment Tools Navigator.
Thank you, Anna. So so this is the environmental assessment tool. So the icons on that front screen represent different livestock systems. So this tool has been built to consider to break down into different livestock systems. It also focuses on aquaculture. And for a reason that I'll describe later, we've also included rice within this as a methane source. It's not a livestock component, but I'll explain the history of that. So there's a series of tools. There's just over 38 tools currently within this tool itself. And what this is essentially is it will help users tailor tools, so pick tools most suitable for what they need. You can filter by scale, as you can see here on the right-hand side, and also by keywords. And there's also at the bottom, you can then filter them by environmental component assessed. So there's a variety of tools, and we're hoping that this is useful for policymakers and others going forward to pick the right tool suitable for use. Next slide, please, Anna. So what is the problem, and how did this come into being? We realize and we recognize there's a range of tools out there. The environment is a big area. Some is focused on emissions and climate change, but there are also other areas as well, water and biodiversity and so forth. So there's a range of tools. It's not clear necessarily how to necessarily use them or what might be the best one to use. So if you are need to focus on environmental impact or pick the best tool, we're hoping that this dashboard of tools will actually help you to do that. So CCAC, which is the Climate and Clean Air Coalition, recognized also this gap, and this is kind of an ask from them as well. So, and because they're working with a wide range of short-lived climate pollutants, of which methane is a big component, we've also included rice in this tool as well. So it's in response to them and also wider sector demands. We are aware that there are limitations with the tool. So for example, lots of tools are not necessarily designed with the livestock sector in mind. That's a broad question across the sector. So we're hoping that this highlights a problem, this problem as well at the same time. So there are challenges with that. So you'll notice that when using the tool, but we're hoping ultimately it helps people to pick the best tool for their need. Really like you to have a look at the dashboard of tools, and please let us know if you've got any feedback, because we'd really like to take that on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we have Karen and Vanessa on the Decision Makers Framework tool.
We might have good livestock data, but that doesn't mean it's going to be used for decision making. So we need to understand what kind of data and information decision makers need. That's why we have prepared a guide for the livestock data community to better understand who your decision makers are and what their data needs are. Phase 1 of the guide has 8 steps to help you identify exactly who your decision makers are. This includes agreeing on your definition of decision maker and defining the scope of your study, such as geography or social groups. By the end of this phase, you should have enough information to generate a visual map of your decision makers and the kinds of decisions they make that require data and evidence. Phase 2 guides you through 5 steps to help you understand the data needs of your selected decision makers. This will involve speaking to different kinds of decision makers and other key informants who have practical insights on how data is used. We highlight some approaches for running qualitative interviews to help you make the most of these conversations. Through this process, you can learn which data sources are seen as valuable for different kinds of decisions, as well as the habits that influence people's decision-making. By the end of your study, you may be able to identify information gaps, potential actions, investment areas, and new opportunities or ways to engage with a group of decision makers. Find out what we learned about livestock decision makers' data needs and get the step-by-step guide to run your own study. Visit livestockdata.org.
Okay, just a few very quick comments on that. The case study that we covered in the development of this tool was very specific to a certain part of the livestock sector, but we believe this tool could be expanded to cover other areas. For example, the Secretariat used this method when trying to better understand decision makers around climate finance in the livestock sector as part of the prototype solution. It may, if you're interested in better understanding the needs of livestock decision makers, we would really encourage you to have a go at using this guide and test this approach. We would really love to hear from you and get your feedback, and potentially we could develop a suite of case studies which we could show on livestockdata.org, various uses for the tool. We see this as a shared and living resource by and for the LD4D network, and we look forward to continuing the conversation. So please get in touch.